The merit order is an economic model that allows power-producing companies to define for each asset what is the marginal cost, and then also allow them to run those with the lowest marginal cost first. The way it works is you'll have a marginal cost, basically the cost of running a certain asset, for instance a gas-fired power plant or a nuclear power plant or a renewable such as solar and wind, on what their lowest cost is in order to produce 1 megawatt hour of electricity. So these power producing companies, they will attribute to each type of asset and to each asset specifically which one has a certain marginal cost and which one has the lowest marginal cost. This will give rise to a certain ranking, with obviously assets such as hydro, solar and wind having a very low to almost zero marginal cost, while other assets such as gas-fired power plants or coal-fired power plants will have a higher marginal cost. The whole system, the whole mechanism is there with one goal in mind: to allow the most economical running of those assets. Basically, if you want to produce power and you want to sell it for consumers, for instance, you want to make sure that you're first running the cheapest assets and then only incrementally later on the higher cost assets. So as a practical example, for instance in Belgium, first of all we will run the hydro assets, solar and wind. Obviously after this we will add nuclear power plants because you also have a very low marginal cost. That's just the nuclear fuel, which is quite cheap. On top of this, once we need more, there's more demand for a specific hour, we will add on top of this also gas-fired power plants. We do not have any coal anymore in Belgium. And then some specialized peak units just to run for a few hours in case demand outstrips the total supply of electricity. The net result of all this is that we will have, at the moment when those renewable assets such as wind and solar are producing a lot of electricity, we will tend to have very low hourly prices for electricity. However, obviously, on other moments when there is no wind, when there is no solar, those hourly prices can be quite a bit higher. What does this mean in practice? We will see that certain hours, for instance, mid of the day, when there is a lot of solar, especially in summertime, of course, we will see that those hours will tend to go very low as a price, or even negative sometimes. On the other hand, on moments, for instance, early in the morning or late in the evening when people are at home, they're launching their washing machines or they're cooking, there will be a higher demand for electricity that will necessitate the launching of those peak units in order to comply with demand. So to conclude, the whole idea of this mechanism is to give economical incentives to electricity producers to run the cheapest asset as possible for any given hour of the day. Obviously, these are all plans because in the end, the forecast will never be the same as the reality, which means there are always going to be some flexibility, and we will see that certain assets will be dispatched for a bit longer or a bit more hours or something in order to be able to comply with the necessary demand on an hourly basis.